have any single moms in here? Any single moms? 2, good. And I have had the same fantasy that every single mom has had, where a handsome young man will sneak into my room and quietly tiptoe over me and then slowly lean into my ear and whisper, "Mom, I found a roommate, I'm moving out." I love my boys, but also fuck those boys.
Hello, everyone. That was Felicia Michaels, who is our guest today. This is the Funny Women of a Certain Age podcast, and I am your host, Shelly Colman. Now, before we get into this, I have to say, Felicia and I have had the world's worst technical issues trying to get together on this podcast. I mean, I don't even want to go into all what happened. I'm just going to say, as long
I'm
as
sorry,
neither one of
I
us...
can't hear you. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Oh my God. I was going to say, as long as neither of us bursts into flames or gets abducted by aliens, we're going to do this. We are going to do this episode today. So, hello, Felicia Michaels. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that you and Carol Montgomery, our fearless leader, go back a ways with Funny Women of a Certain Age.
Yes, I did a lot of gigs with Carol back in the day, and still some with women of a certain age on the road and the mighty fun theaters that they book for that show. But we've been to Iraq, we've been to Alaska, we've been all over the place.
Oh my goodness. But
Yeah,
you're currently based in Los Angeles, is that right?
currently in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Okay. And I saw that you have a half-hour special out. What's it called?
Oh yes, on Open Bar Comedy.
Open bar comedy,
Oh, it's open
yes.
bar. No, they won't give a dry bar, you have to be like, have an hour of clean material, but,
Yeah.
so for me, open bar, just do whatever you want. It's an upstart, and it's doing pretty good. It's, doing
Yeah.
pretty I'm 3rd on the roster of highest views, which is both exciting and sad.
Why sad?
No, I'm just kidding, 'cause it's,
Oh, okay.
'cause they're just an upstart, but it was fun to do. I did it in Florida, and a lot of my friends are
Right.
starting to do it, and it's a fun little thing. It's totally live comedy from a club, and it's a lot of
Mhm.
fun.
And if you go onto YouTube and you search for Felicia Michaels, that is, I think, the first thing that pops up now,
Oh, is
because I
it?
did
Oh,
that today.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
I watched it a couple months ago when we first tried to arrange
Get
a
this
time to get
going.
together. So 5 minutes in, you go, "All right, I've definitely seen this before," because I remember laughing at the same spots. And
Yeah.
also, I remember that the audience, how do I say this? They seemed like they didn't know quite what to make of you, but not in a bad way, you know what I mean?
Oh,
They seemed...
that was actually
Yeah,
filmed in Florida, and
yeah.
Florida can be, my favorite places to play in the country are places where, for sure it's a little bit right wing, right? But for sure there's
Really?
a bunch of lefties too. So it's like you can kind of get the crowd working together in some weird melange of crowd flavor, or
Oh,
Portland,
wow.
Oregon can be like that too. Vegas in its own way can be like that too.
Portland, well, I think of Portland, Oregon, I think left wing, we dress up as inflatable dinosaurs people.
100%, but there is also outside of Portland, you know what I mean?
Ah,
So,
I
it
see.
can definitely be a great mix, and that's what I miss about comedy right now is that the crowds are not a great mix of everyone like used to when
It's
I
all
started out,
very
you would
homogeneous.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
you have your one type of crowd and that's it, and wonderful, I'm not complaining, but, I really love when it's everyone together, you know what I mean? Because then
yeah.
you really feel like if everyone together can laugh, then you really feel like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, this."
Do you find that you have a specific group now? Are there people like, are there Felicia heads or whatever that would be?
No.
No?
You know what? I when I first started, I got very lucky, and, this is pre-internet from back in the day,
Mhm.
and I would say I did have kind of a following, but it was always like kind of a weird group of people because I started out as very dirty. So, because I was so young, and the only thing I had in common with people in a club who were in their 30s and I was 19 was talking about sex.
Wow.
So it just
Yeah.
kinda was easy, like, "Okay, I'll just talk about sex," and a lot of people, women specifically, weren't really talking about it as much. Carol did,
Mhm.
but, not in the way, that my little filthy mind worked at that time.
But if I read your bio correctly, and by the way, it did occur to me that if for some reason we had another technical problem today, I
Uh-huh.
thought, you know what, I might just go and record your CV, your resume, because you've had so many different things going on. I thought
Uh-huh.
maybe just read this.
Yeah,
This is the story of Felicia Michaels, as told to you by me.
there you go,
So
there
you
you go.
worked in. Do I have this right? You worked in a strip club.
When I was 18, I grew up an army brat, so, I did
Hmm.
what all young, girl children mostly do, in those days in the late '70s, early '80s, and I married a young GI because 'cause we're
Hmm.
all army brats, and so, that didn't last very long, because he was a young GI, and, that was kinda violent. He was violent, so
Oh.
that didn't work, and then, to, get out of there, I went and did a wet t-shirt contest, and,
Oh.
I thought to myself, "No way." I mean, like, "This can't be true. I can't make a
Uh-huh.
living doing this."
Wait a minute. You made a living doing wet t-shirt contests?
Well, I did for a long time at this one club in Colorado Springs, Colorado, for about 6 months. They had this club called the Peppermint Lounge,
Mhm.
and, I'm still friendly with this, Swiss girl and her husband who came and did the Peppermint Lounge. She was a dancer and he was a photographer, and I did so many wet t-shirt contests that they were like, "Listen, you can't do the contest anymore. You gotta work here." Like, "It's over, bitch. You old now." I was like 19 and a half. Like, "Oh, really?"
Oh, just aged right out of it at 19
Yeah.
and a Good
Yeah,
lord.
and I remember the first night I had to go as a job, and,
Mhm.
those days, it was a bunch of biker chicks, and so I was all like,
Really?
"Hi, I'm here to and they had this basement, like, dressing room, and as I'm
Uh-huh.
going down to the basement, I hear a scuffle. I swear to God, this is a true story. First night as a professional stripper, I hear a scuffle, and I look around, and these 2 biker chicks are, like, kicking this chick in the head, right?
Oh
And I
my
was all like,
god.
I'll just wait," and I went back up the
Oh,
stairs, and then the manager's like, "I told you get your costume on," and then I was like, "Oh, well," and I knew, even when you're
uh-huh.
19 years old, don't squeal at a biker chick, and I
Right.
sat in the stairwell and just waited for them to do their business, and they all 3 came up like nothing happened, and,
Holy cow.
probably, somebody stole someone's Captain Save-A-Ho, you know what I mean?
Those are my pasties.
I know. That's my
Wow.
customer,
Holy
and
moly.
I did that for, about a year, and then I met a comic who came in.
Wait, a comic went into a strip club? Really?
Hard to
Inconceivable.
believe,
Yeah.
and then we started kinda dating, and then when, I might have been barely 19, and then one time he took me to go see a show at the Comedy Works in Denver, Colorado, and then when I was there was this girl bombing on stage, and I was like, "Well, I can bomb on stage." And he was like, "It's
With
harder than
my
you
clothes
think."
on.
And then he made this, bet with me, and I was like, "I can't," no, you're 19, and he's like, 37, so the bet is, "If I
Oh,
win, I'll take you to a dinner. If you lose,
yeah.
you gotta blow me 5,000 times." It was like one of those,
In front of all my
so you're like, "I gotta
friends.
do it. I gotta do it." So,
Ugh.
I did it,
You
and, that's how I got into comedy.
Now, did you ever consider going into the military?
You know what? I did consider going into the military, and I actually did this thing where it's like you almost sign up, but it was like you sign up I can't speak 100% to this memory, but you sign up and then you have like a year to kinda actually go in, and
Mhm.
during that year, I was all like, "What was I thinking?" And there and then, I tried to get out of it, and then they just called me up and said, "Listen, we know you're trying to get out of it. We don't want you." And I was all like, "Thank
Yeah,
God."
we don't like your kind,
Yeah, you
kid.
get yourself to a strip club, lady. So it's kinda like that.
Let's see, army or the pole? I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know.
I know.
And, you
Exactly.
I also read that your mom was German. Is she from Germany?
So, my parents, my mother wasn't a war bride, but my dad did meet her in the early 60s in
Mhm,
Berlin, Germany, as he was stationed there. And this is the sickness of my father, whom I loved very much, but he loved German women. He married my mom, they had kids,
mhm.
and then they got divorced. Then he married another German woman from Berlin, Germany. He's from Oklahoma.
Oh
It's like,
my.
that is some illness. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that to yourself?
I've heard of the Irish virus, I've heard of jungle fever, I've heard of yellow fever, I've never heard of a German I don't know what to be,
Jeez.
German flu or something like that?
I don't know what it was, but, I grew up, part-time, every 3 years. At that time, they moved families around every 3 or so years. So
Mm,
we were stationed quite a bit in, Germany, specifically more towards Berlin, yeah.
wow. So we could do the rest of this episode in German then. I know a good, like, 22, 23 words.
I could get you to this train station with a
Oh,
pastry
great.
and a coffee.
Awesome. And I can count to, like, 40, so right
There you
there,
go.
it's a whole conversation. Okay, so German mom and army dad, and you decided,
Uh-huh.
"No, the military is not for me. I'm gonna go dance around a pole or go and do comedy."
Well, during that
And
time, I was also married to an abusive GI, and,
yeah,
so
I was gonna try not to mention that
no,
again
it's
because who
okay.
wants to talk
It's
about that?
okay, and,
Yeah.
every once in a while, he'll lurk on my Wikipedia page
Oh,
and put like,
charming.
change something on it, like, "She was married in 19" like, "What?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
It's not a secret, pal. It's out there.
yeah, it's out there. And then I started doing stand-up, and my mother was also handicapped. My mother was in a
Mhm,
wheelchair and, very ill, so,
mhm.
just started doing stand-up, and I moved to LA and,
Wow.
got very
That's
lucky.
a lot of comics come from I mean, this isn't news, but a lot of comics come from either a broken home or, like, I know a couple of comics who come from a military family and have that experience of going from place to place to place, and did you find that doing stand-up was that's sort of, maybe even a stereotype of, "This is a place where I feel like I belong?"
Almost, like, that's almost, correct, uh,
Mhm.
but I felt more like, it's an island of misfit toys, so maybe I don't necessarily belong here, but everyone else who's really has their own weirdness is here with me, so
Right.
it's more
So
like
we all don't belong here together.
we all, like, kinda as a group, I guess that
Yeah.
makes sense, but and also I was very much younger and, in a weird way, because I got really lucky, I came out to LA. Actually, when I first came out to LA, I worked at a, like, dime a dance place because I was like, "I'm not gonna be a stripper, I'm gonna be a comedian," and then I had to get a
Mhm.
job, and,
Right.
then I worked at this dance place downtown, and, it was owned by Asian gangsters.
Oh
And then
my.
I know, dude. That's a whole
Wow.
different story. And then, that was, like, kinda like, "I could get trafficked here." It's kind of one of those
Yeah,
things.
really.
I think I better go back to, dancing by an airport. You know what I mean?
That seems safer somehow. Wow.
And so I went, to this place, it's called the Jet Strip. I think it might still exist. At the time, it was owned by this gentleman, I use that term loosely, that was
Right.
a policeman, but kind of a gangster. And I worked there during the day, and I would do comedy trying to get into the clubs at night. And,
Mhm.
weirdly, like, 20 years later, I was watching, like, an A&E murder mystery back in the day, and, he
Yeah.
had been murdered. He had been murdered, and I was like, "That's a trip." They did a whole episode on him.
What was he murdered by the Asian gangsters by any chance?
Was in the sex trade at the jet strip.
Yeah.
He owned a piece of that. That's a crazy story.
Oh, boy.
But, and then
Wow.
when I got in at the Comedy Store, I got in pretty quick. I was there, like, around the age of 21. When I first went to the Comedy Store, a lot of clubs I couldn't even get into because I wasn't of age. And then when I finally got into the Comedy Store, I was 21, and
Mhm.
honestly, being a stripper was a help to me because it was like
Yeah.
cowboys and vampires at the Comedy Store in the mid '80s. It was, of the time of
Cowboys
Kenneth.
and vampires.
Yeah, it was,
Right.
Billy Idol would come in, there was a lot of drugs. It was a crazy time.
Yeah.
And it was very misogynistic, as you can imagine. Like, it's funny, I'm writing this project with this
Yep.
other comedian whom I respect more than anything, and we were having a tussle over a piece of writing, and he texted me like an hour later, "Hey, sorry, I was grumpy," and I'm all like, "Oh, that doesn't bother me," like I had comics trying to sell me to other comics for a bundle of coke, you know what I mean, in the back of the
Oh
comedy
my
store.
god.
Like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings,
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, it was pretty crazy.
Wow.
But the stripping helped because
Wow.
I was able to just not take it personally, make fun of it, and,
Yeah.
move on, and I wouldn't have been able to do that as such a young woman had I not worked in such terrible places before that. So in a sense, it was very helpful. It I know it's weird.
Wow.
You don't hear that a lot, but it
It just
was
it sucks that well, it sucks that you would have to go through basically go through fire in order to harden yourself in order to do comedy. It just seems like I perhaps live in a dream world, but it doesn't seem like that should be necessary. And maybe it isn't. Well, it's not necessary for men certainly, but at this point, I guess I have to say whatever gets you through, whatever gets you through the night. Thank you, John Lennon.
Right.
Whatever makes it possible for you to do what you want to do. I guess we got to go. Okay, I'm gonna close my eyes, stick out my elbows, and do it.
Right. I have to say, having grown up with a German mother in Germany for half of my childhood, and then my mother was very ill, and for a while we were on welfare. My dad, he was not doing well because he did 2 tours of Vietnam, so he had his own set of issues. All this stuff, having been
Right.
married at 19, all that kind of stuff, it makes you take chances. You know what I mean? It makes you
Yeah, I guess so.
it makes you realize like this is your one life. And I was very
Mhm.
fortunate that I got to see from a small town outside of Fort Carson, Colorado, that I had a memory and had experiences where I knew there was a life out there for me and I was going to get that. And also, a lot of my friends were pregnant and married before high school was over. We all have some
Right.
friends that have had that experience, but in that army culture, that was very normal, and a lot of my friends
Wow.
were physically, beaten by their husbands and, so, like, you just grow up when you grow up in that kind of situation, you just know how important it is to take a chance because, no one's given you a chance, you gotta take it, No
Yeah.
one wanted to ever give you a chance. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my
Wow.
TED Talk.
Well, no, thank you, thank you. That's deep. So when you got to LA, you start acting at the same time you started doing comedy, or did that come later?
I did a play in Colorado before I came out, and then I didn't really wanna be an actress because
Mhm.
the first time I went on stage, I had a I and I'm never a person like, "I killed it." I
Mhm.
had a really nice set,
Yeah.
and it got me addicted, like, cause I was one of those people I never was good at I could draw a little maybe, but I
Right.
never had something that automatically came to me, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Right.
And so
Right.
when I did stand-up, it was this marvelous thing, it just happened, I was good at it, so it's like, you have to do what's, kinda presents itself.
Mhm. But you have done some acting. You did a film with Mitch Hedberg as a director.
Oh, well, that was later. That was, like, almost, 15 years later. Yeah, I was very lucky that I, came up and walked amongst the giants,
Yeah.
and, uh, and that in itself was a wonderful experience. I did a lot of TV. I had a couple holding deals. I did some acting. But it wasn't my thing. And
Mhm.
then, I picked up a camera because I was at that time probably around my late 20s, I was working the road, like, 35 weeks a year from Tuesday through
Wow.
Sunday. I was working a lot,
Yeah.
and I picked up a camera. I always had an interest in visual things, and then when I moved to New York to do stand-up I decided to go to film school, NYU, and the new
Oh,
school, and then, I had this friend named Mitch Hedberg who was like, "I'm gonna make a movie." And I was like, "Well, shit, I know where I can get all the equipment for you." You know what I
oh,
mean? Borrow it from NYU, you know what I mean?
sure,
So,
yeah.
then that kind of, took its own, thing, and then at that time too, I was like, "I need to do a project." I'm doing all these photos of fairs in Georgia, when I'm doing
Mhm.
a stand-up, I would go out during the day and photograph, but I need like, something. What am I around that's kinda interesting that a lot of people really aren't around? It took me, like, 6 months to be like, "How about stand-up?" And so that's how stupid I am, honestly. And then I started photographing stand-up at the time when alternative comedy was coming to the scene, so I photographed the whole alternative comedy scene in New York City, and I met a lot of
People
people.
like who, for instance?
Everyone. No, Mark Maron, everyone, all Greg,
Oh,
Giraldo, Hedberg, everybody. Maria I have one of the first pictures I ever saw Maria Bamford on stage,
oh,
and,
wow.
I know. And you know what I always say to her, "First time I saw you, Maria Bamford, it was like watching myself, but with better jokes." You know, 'cause we had kinda same mannerisms back then.
Mhm.
She's so much more talented as a person with act outs. She's like one of the best comics working out there. She really is. But it was I have pictures of that night, and, we both had kind of the same blonde hairdo at the time and talked
Yeah.
kinda high and all that kind of stuff. And so, all sorts of people, I got very, very lucky that I got to experience that and be around that.
Mhm. Mhm. And, the reason that stuck in my mind is 'cause I saw Mitch Hedberg at a theater in New York called the Beacon Theater. He was on a bill with Louis Black,
Okay, yeah, I
David
know that
Tell,
tour. Yes,
and Mike Birbiglia was the opener, which is I think
yes,
about that and I go,
yeah,
"Wow."
yeah.
Um, and I just I if you were to ask me what comic, like, just pick any comic, and put them in the director's chair, I would never, never think of Mitch Hedberg because he
Uh,
seems really like a comic, like that's what he did. That was his complete focus
you mean him as a director?
as a director, yeah.
Yeah. I have it's a mixed bag of thoughts when it comes to Mitch Hedberg in that arena. I have such mad respect for Mitch for the fact that he literally woke up one day and is like, "You know what? In a month, I'm gonna film this feature film in my hometown of, St. Paul, Minneapolis area, whatever, and and that's it." And he did it,
Wow.
but it was also a big learning experience, and a lot of people were in it, like Mark Maron, David Tell, a lotta but
Mhm.
he had a hard time giving eye contact and
Yeah.
being assertive in that way that a director has to be, and I was the assistant director on that film, and
Oh, I didn't realize
honestly
that. I thought you were a
yeah.
performer only.
No, I was assistant director on that film and a UPN unit production manager, and,
Wow.
which being an assistant director is the hardest job in the world, and everybody hates you. You know what I mean? That's like it's like it's so cool, but it sucks, and everybody hates you.
Wow.
And, that film got into Sundance. It got into
Did it?
Sundance. And this is around the time when Mitch was, doing a lot of drugs, and
Mhm.
it really interfered with him. Obviously, he passed from that situation,
Right.
and, but the sadness I have over it is what would he have done next,
Yeah.
as a director? Maybe it wasn't his thing, but he really had but it could have been. That was his
Right.
first film, and it got into Sundance cold. Not
Yeah,
someone
really.
walking it into Sundance. Submission, you got in. And it got in the midnight movie category. This is around the same
Uh-huh.
time of, Lock, Stock, and Two Barrels, around that time that movie was made. It's the same year that got into Sundance. And, so I think, I have a mixed bag about that. He was so creative. I mean, really a genius with his stand-up,
Mhm.
but he just, it just didn't make him care that's the wrong way to say it. It didn't make him feel like he had a big enough stake in life. You know what I mean? Being that
Oh.
creative. you
Wow.
know?
Uh-huh.
And, uh, and he was like a stone cold genius at the same time. Frustrating as hell sometimes, but a
I
stone cold
imagine so,
genius.
yeah, they tend to be. I don't know that I've ever met a genius, but I've met people who are very driven and have that kind of focus that I will never have, and
I know,
you
me too,
admire
dude.
it,
Yeah.
and you go, "Wow, that's awesome. God, you're a pain in my ass." And it's
Yeah,
that the 2 things seem to
yeah.
go together.
Yeah. There's comics come from different walks of life. And the thing I also really loved about Mitch is he was a darling. Like to me, there's two types of comics. If you're talking pure comedy, and this is just my
Mhm,
thing, right?
mhm.
There are street comics, and then there's comics that went to college and came out of it with the understanding of, you got to have a theme, and it's important to write this to do it like the guys before, you know what I mean? And
Right.
where he was one of those guys that was like a street performer, that
Mhm.
he did go to a college for like a year, but he was a fry cook in Florida, and he was just
Yeah.
found this thing, and so it was more like just a guy off the streets, but became a darling to the other group of comedians who were extremely well educated. And that's what I loved about Mitch, because he was one of those guys that could float and be a hero to all circles of comedy, and that's super rare.
Yeah.
That's all that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. I think you're right. I wanted to ask you though, I don't have a lot of experience in film. In fact, I have no experience in film, but I've done some background work on because I live in New York, so I'm like
Yeah,
everyone in this city, if they haven't been on Law&
yes.
and Order yet, they will be tomorrow.
And I'm
So
so
I've done
jealous.
some.
I'm so jealous.
Nah, don't be.
I
I've
wanna
been,
do Law& and Order. I'll do
my
background on Law& and
specialty,
Order.
I love this. There is a casting call for, what do they call it? Nondescript pedestrian, NDP. I have been cast as a nondescript pedestrian so many times.
Dude, you're working.
Well, not lately, but the funny
Okay.
thing is I am so good at it that I have frequently been told by people who are working on the show, "Excuse me, ma'am, we're filming here." No, no, no,
Okay.
I'm a nondescript pedestrian. I'm
That's
look,
funny.
I got the wristband and everything. Anyway, but you said that, being an assistant director, everybody hates you. Why is it that being an assistant director is the worst?
Well, listen, it's a gift to be on any set, number one. And I know one of my closest friends spent his whole life as an assistant director on Black Rain, like on all these huge hits 25 years ago, right? He was the
Mhm.
guy. And the thing is, you are the one that cracks the whip. And that's
Oh.
so, yeah, I'm making a little bit of fun of it, but
Yeah.
you're the one that cracks the whip. You're the one that has to go tell the guy painting the building next to the building you're shooting in, "Hey, can you take a lunch?" And have the guy get mad at you because he just wants to paint this building, get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
you're the one that says, "You're late." You're the one you're like Bad News Charlie, you know what I mean? You're the person that cracks the whip, and,
Mhm.
but it's also a bonus. You get to be on set. You get to hear how they're thinking about filming something. You get
Mhm.
to every once in a while pipe in, so,
Yeah.
but not really. You have to be.
You get to pipe in, but nobody has to listen.
Yes,
Y
yes, so, anyway.
You get a vote, but it doesn't count.
Right, right.
Yeah, like
You can
Washington,
you
DC and
can
the
raise a
Senate.
finger and then get the fuck off their set. That's basically it.
So that's it sounds like that's something you'd be interested in doing again.
Well, for sure, like, right now, besides doing stand-up, I am I worked as a camera operator on a bunch of stuff recently for HBO and, PBS, and so I've always been kind of visual, so, I do stills or camera operating. Now I do DIT, which is, taking all the digital stuff and organizing it, and, now I do a lot, and now I'm weirdly making a lot of pitch decks for movies and things like that for people, so
What's a pitch deck?
a pitch deck is a visual document for their purposes where you try to pitch a show. So instead of just like, here's a treatment, it's like, here's a treatment
Oh,
with how I think it should
pictures.
look and the tone and the feel and the organizing and the,
Oh.
photos and videos and putting that all together so that people can really grasp the concept. So,
Mhm.
and weirdly, I enjoy it even more than stand up right now
Cool.
because I've always been kind of a visual person since I'm a kid. So,
Mhm. So if someone were to say to you, Felicia, I have written a script and I'm hoping to get it on like, I don't know, Netflix or PBS or whatever, and I'd like you to direct it. Would you be willing to take that on?
well, I have directed before, and
Mhm.
uh, I would like to direct. Like I did some shorts. I did a documentary that, and they've all got into festivals and participated in that way. They're on Amazon. You can go look at Pervs, which has a bunch of comedians in it, like Joey Diaz, Felipe Esparza, Lori Kilmartin, bunch of people in that.
Okay. A movie about comedians called Pervs. Okay, I see the through line. Sure.
No, what it is I knew this girl who was a comedian, but during the day, she was a sex worker, and she worked at the last working peep show in the Los Angeles County area. This is about 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get someone to make a movie about it." And I was like, "You have, parked your butt and you're the right person." And so we made it's a little out there. We made this, documentary about how comedians, are how they go about, deviance and how deviance works for them or against them through the eyes of
Okay.
comedians, while she gives them a peep show. It has, like, a machine, you gotta put money in, and,
Oh. Oh.
I know.
Not is it the kind okay, I've seen these in in, like, movies from the '70s. There were ones where a guy would go into a room and he'd pay, I don't know, a quarter
Absolutely.
or whatever,
Yes.
and, like, a
Yes.
window thing would slide
Yes.
open,
Curtains
and
open. You
there's a woman in the
put
middle.
$10 in curtains open. Yes. Like the
Oh,
Madonna video
$10.
when we were kids. Yeah.
Oh, now see here, I'm thinking, "Oh, 50 cents." Yeah, 'cause I was born in 1920. Um, so she worked in that kind of a place?
She worked in that place and another place that was a little bit, randier, but for me, it was, I really want to explore the topic of deviance and to explore, selling yourself sexually from behind the camera instead of being the object. And it turned out to be one of the most fucked up, weirdest, coolest things I've ever done.
Huh.
Like, yeah, I feel very proud that that was the first kinda fuller length movie that I did. I'd done a bunch of shorts.
Mhm.
Um, I did a short about speaking in tongues, black and white short.
Really?
Yes, yes, yeah,
Wow.
and
Is your family churchgoers?
my dad's family, they were like the grapes of wrath. He's from Oklahoma, so it's
Oh,
very
wow.
Pentecostal.
I was actually born in America's first escape room. That's true. In America's first. It's still in business, you guys. It's still in business. Even during the pandemic, it never shut down. Yeah, it's called the state of Kansas, you know. Kansas, man. Whoo, Kansas. And I love my home state, but you know they're very religious in Kansas. I'll tell you that they're very religious, and it's part of the Bible Belt. I don't know if you guys know this, but 2 years ago, last November, a shooting star, a meteor, went across the entire Bible Belt. This is a total true thing. A shooting star went across the Bible Belt, signaling to Christians everywhere the second coming of a rigged election. You know.
Yeah.
And then, I made a short about growing up in poverty and
Mhm.
about, how people treat others in poverty. That was more of like a funny TED Talk kinda, special that I made about myself and, just different things like that. I made a short about, sexual violence
Oh,
that Mitch
wow.
Hedberg was in. He actually, because I did his movie, and then he's like, "I'll do something on your movie." So then
Uh-huh.
at the end, this girl, it's led to believe that you killed Mitch Hedberg.
Oh,
It's kind of that.
fun.
Anyway, weird, I
Oh my
know.
goodness. Wow. That's quite a, um,
You're a
a
good person
theme,
for
it's
asking
sort of a
these questions.
well, it's interesting. I mean, it's always interesting to me to find out what comedians do when they're not being comedians. 'Cause, one of the things that I'm dealing with in my life is how much time you're not doing comedy in order to do comedy. Do you know what I mean? So it's the whole I need a day job and it's the promoting yourself and it's schmoozing. and self-promotion. I'm really awful at that, and that's such a big part of it. But what I find interesting is the stuff that you do away from comedy, the stuff that um, I work for a radio station also, and so that's one of the things that keeps me living indoors, and then I spend that money doing comedy. So, that's what I mean. That's always interesting to me, the stuff that goes on in your life around comedy that doesn't have anything to do with it, and
Right,
how it has supported you and kept you going to the age that we're at.
right. It's hard to, be able to balance a lot of different things, and, I have a family, I raised 2 boys, and I took 10 years off to do
Mhm.
that and then came back and had to basically restart my career again. So,
Right.
uh, comedy's a long game. Everyone thinks, "Oh, I'll do it a couple years, I'll get big, I'll do this," you know, uh, it's a long game, and it's a lot different now, as you're
Mhm.
saying, because you have to do so much self-promotion, you have to do so much social media, you have to be able to have different skill set. When Carol and I first started out, all you had to worry about was being funny. That was
Right.
it.
Oh, and also not being sold from one comic to another for a bag of
Well, not
cocaine.
being sold
That's
from
kind of a worry.
from one comic to another. But that's all you had to do is be funny and travel, and that
Mhm.
was it. And I remember once I was working on one of my shorts, and it was called Linda, California, and I had a 16 millimeter film, in the round casing, and I had to go do a stupid commercial audition, but I was
Mhm.
in New York City, and I would just happen to have it in my hand, and and the agents were like, "Go there, do that audition, whatever." So I went there, and the lady asked me, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, it's a film role." And like I was shamed for trying to do something at that time, which a lot of people weren't doing, because all you had to do is be funny. And you
Mhm.
were kind of frowned upon, like, don't dilute what you're doing, just be funny. But
Right.
now it's like you have to have so many other skill sets. You have to know how to use your phone as a camera in a really good way. You have to know how to edit. You have to know how to write. You have to know how to do social media consistently, consistently, consistently. And
Yeah.
it makes comedy weaker in my opinion, at least my comedy,
Weaker in what sense?
because you're not focusing on, just writing jokes, or you're not
Yeah.
and part of comedy is, as you, just mentioned, is that you have to go out and shake a million hands to get one set.
Yeah.
And I live in Los Angeles, and, I'm lucky that when I choose to work, I can call into the Comedy Store and get sets here and there. New York is better because you can do a lot of sets in New York,
Mhm.
more than in, Los Angeles, but you have to spend so much time then giving your jokes away for free on the Internet, and that's not the only industry that s has been watered down because of it. It's like, no one's gonna pay for anything on the Internet anymore, but they want a personal experience. But then you have to
Right.
spend so much time being on the Internet.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
that's my bitch
Well, f
section.
fortunately, this podcast is going on the internet, and
Okay.
that's so far
See?
that's
See? Could be writing a joke right now.
I you could be writing a joke, I could be sweeping the kitchen. That okay, you said you're more visual, so a lot of our guests have written books or are writing books. Is that something that you're interested in doing or
My dad, I have this book that has been 85% done, and I mean, I think it's the 3rd edit where and I need to get it done, and it's not about comedy, and, that is my life's goal to get that book published, and I can't wait. It's gonna be called Starlight. It's a story about a girl in 1983 Hollywood. My dad, when he got out of the Army,
Mhm,
worked and owned a drive-in movie theater for a while. He
mm,
was actually a projectionist at the Chinese, movie theater here in Hollywood. And so I grew up uh, when I was with my father, running around a drive-in movie theater and learning how to splice films together and making the popcorn and being in the
mhm,
basement and smelling vinegar of the Chinese theater where they had every print from 57. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
so I grew up in that sense, really loving movies. And so it's a story about a girl in that era who's kind of going through the same thing and learning how to be around her father. And it's a little bit about Mary Pickford as well, who was the first movie star.
Mhm.
And so it's a little bit of a horror movie and all that kind of stuff. It's kind, I mean,
Wait,
book. It's
a
kind of
a
fun.
little bit of WHORE or
Horror, not
HORROR?
horror.
Horror. Okay, I'm not sure, we'd had
That's
established a
it's about a
pattern here.
horse. The girl's 13. She's a whore. A horror.
Well, she grows up. Maybe she grows up into a whore. Maybe she's the drive-in movie whore. I don't
Yeah.
know. I haven't read the book yet.
Yeah, yeah. So, but anyway, that's, like, on the bucket list, and I'm so
Yeah.
close. It's very frustrating.
Well, I tell you what, just from your elevator pitch, it sounds like it could be a movie.
Oh, absolutely. It started out as I wrote a script about it, and during the
Uh-huh.
pandemic, I was like, "This has to be a book because 'cause I'm not gonna have any money to make this movie."
Well, you could maybe, you could, get a couple of people together and film it on your phones and, like, have a th
I
instead of a
know.
3 camera thing, you have a 3
Right.
phone thing.
Right.
Yeah,
True
that's the
that.
extent, by the way, of my film knowledge is 3 camera versus 1 camera, and you could that's it, that's all I
Gotta
got.
start somewhere. You gotta start
That's
somewhere.
true. That's true, but one of the reasons that we do this podcast, audio only is because I don't wanna deal with pictures. I am your opposite when it comes to that. I am not visual at all. I am all verbal, all words, all books, so I don't wanna do my
Right.
hair, basically.
Yeah, I feel you. It's nice to not
Yeah.
have to wear makeup.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, okay, I won't keep you any longer because I feel like we're testing it. We're challenging the gods, challenging the tech gods. We've managed to talk for 43 minutes and 40
Oh,
seconds
really?
without
Really?
tech problems, and I'm like, yeah. Okay, so what do you have coming up? Anything? How's anything you want to tell us about?
I'm working on a project about a bar show here in Los Angeles. I've been directing it and doing a lot of filming for that. And then, like I said, my book, which is going to be called Starlight, is
Mhm.
going to come out next year. I swear to God, it's going to come out next year.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. If it doesn't come out in 2026, we all go to Felicia's house and we pound on the door and go, "Where's the book?"
Yeah, and the team I work with as a camera operator, they have some really fascinating things that are going on in their own right. So I'm excited about that for sure. And just enjoying stand up. I'll be with Carol at Women of a Certain Age in Palm Springs. I want to say January 7th. If you
Okay.
want to come see some funny ass women, come to that show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
January 7th in Palm Springs. And please go see Pervs on Amazon if you want to see a freak show thing situation go on where you're like, what? What? Uh, then you can go and
That's now
watch
there's
that.
promotion, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. That's how you do that.
To follow me on my Instagram. I just had my first viral video, 3.5 million views.
Oh, wow.
And I know, I can't even, and it's an old clip, like,
Y
you know how many times you put up a clip and then all of a sudden you're like, "What? That" and it's like a joke I felt kind of embarrassed about being a dumb blonde because
Mhm.
filmed it when I was, like, 24 or something like that. So, it's fun that that's happened and, all of that.
What is your Instagram, name, handle?
Felicia Michaels, just Felicia Michaels.
Ah, see
Yeah,
see, that's how you do it.
Michaels.
FeliciaMichaels,
Yes,
Felicia
yes.
Michaels on
Thank you.
Instagram and on your website where your resume is and all the stuff that I could not possibly even get to during this short time. And, keep an eye out for Felicia Michaels at you said the Comedy Store, right, where you sometimes go up?
Yeah, I'm usually at the Comedy Store. I've been working a lot of sets at this place called The Dime, and I'm doing a winery on the 26th and 27th here in Southern California, and just trying to keep it real, right? Like at this point in
Yeah,
life, you just want to keep on keeping on and enjoying it
right.
and challenging yourself. So that's been good and doing a lot of writing projects. So just that kind
Oh,
of
that's
stuff.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Felicia Michaels. I really appreciate you sticking with this and sticking with me, trying to figure out how to get it done and when and all of that. And so this podcast episode will be posted on, I'm going to pull up my paper calendar because I'm a Luddite, is going to be posted on the 15th of December. So that will give you people plenty of time to get tickets to see Funny Women of a Certain Age in Palm Springs with Felicia Michaels and Carol Montgomery and other incredibly funny women.
I believe Leanne's gonna be there, probably Bob North.
Oh, Barb North. Oh, yeah. We've had Barb North on the podcast, Leanne, of course, one of the co-hosts. So, what I'm saying is, if you are in the Palm Springs area or you can get to the Palm Springs area, you have no reason to not go see these very funny women of a certain age in Palm Springs on January 7th. Felicia Michaels, thanks very much. I really
Thank
hope I
you.
get to work with you sometime soon, but,
Oh, we
you know,
will.
I okay, all right, we'll just leave it there then, and we end the podcast by saying bye. So, bye.
Bye. You're not even gonna say bye, Felicia?
Of
Jeez.
course. I thought about saying it, but I thought, "Nah, she's heard it before."